Welcome to Gaming Top Down. Today we're going to be looking at and doing a review for Radlands. This is from Roxley Games and is a 2-player card game. So let's go down to the table. We'll go through my review steps, and then I will come back up for my verdict and some final thoughts. Okay, down here at the table you can see I have a slightly larger box than Radlands usually comes in. So for how I store the game, this is the version that has the base game, and it keeps that box inside this box for some box inception, and then a playmat for each of the two players. Other than that, it's a pretty simple storage solution here. I sleeve all of the cards except for the camp cards because I couldn't get them to fit also sleeved in this little box. So the camp cards go over here because they're not part of the regular deck anyways, along with the water tokens, and then the rest of the cards do barely fit. They're sleeved with some 60 micron sleeves. So anyways, that is pretty straightforward there for sleeving. For favorite component, let's get the game set up first, and then we can talk about that. So I'll be right back. Okay, I've got the game set up here, and my favorite component is actually this deck of cards that the game is played with. And I really like it when a card game is smart and kind of unique. And in this game, you use the back of the deck of cards as well. The front of the cards are what you'll normally be playing out to your different lanes here. But occasionally you can play a card face down. It's called a punk, and you don't know what is on the other side of that punk, and punks only have 1 hit point, while a regular card will become damaged first and then still have 1 hit point remaining before it's removed. So I really like that mechanism. There's some cool cards that will let you get a bunch of punks out and then maybe even pull some back into your hand, and so with a little bit of luck, you might have pulled something really awesome into your hand. I really like that. Another game that came out this year is Compile. That is also a lane battler, but a bit different, uses the back of the cards as well. So I think that's really cool. As far as components that come in the base game, as you can see here, I also have the playmats, and I do think that they are excellent for Radlands. They're totally not required though. I've played the game quite a few times, and probably the first 7 or 8 times I played, I did not have the playmats, and the experience was just great. It works pretty well. It's just 3 lanes with an extra lane over here for events and a couple extra cards over here. The playmat just kind of helps outline everything really well with reminders of how many water it costs to do some actions, and it is aesthetically just nice looking. So got to give a shout out also to the playmats there. All right, for gameplay for this game, this is a lane battler, like I mentioned. And in this game, at the beginning, you're going to be given 6 of these camp cards. And these cards vary quite a bit. And of those 6, you're going to choose 3 of them. And they will be put down here. And they will determine a couple of things. They will determine how many cards you will start with in your hand based on the sum of these numbers here, and each of them has its own special ability on it. Your opponent's goal is to destroy all 3 of your camps, and if they do so, they win, and vice versa. So these camps are kind of the crux of the entire game. So that is the initial setup. You'll take that and then draw a number of cards equal to the hand size listed on your camps. And then you and your opponent will take turns back and forth. And you'll be playing cards out in front of your camps in order to protect them. This is a lane battler that uses a kind of common mechanism in that genre where if I want to attack this camp, I have to attack anything in front of it first. And if I'm able to do damage to a card, it becomes damaged and tipped to the side like that, and cannot be used for its special ability or anything in that condition, but they can be healed through other means. So you're trying to get cards out here so that you can defend your camps and then use those abilities on the cards to attack your opponent and destroy their camps. On your turn, you usually have 3 water. Water are the action points in this game. And you can see here from the player aid card, let me zoom in really quick. You have a few different things you can do on your turn. First, the events resolve. We'll come back to them in a second. You'll replenish your water to 3, draw a card, and then you can take actions, which are playing a card. When you play a card out, a card will have a water cost in order to play it, and you actually put the water right on top of the card, showing that that card was just purchased this turn and is not ready. So it cannot be, the action on that card cannot be used that turn because most cards do not enter play ready. You can draw a card. Drawing a card costs 2 water, as you can see here. You can junk a card. Junking a card is to discard it, and whatever the icon is here at the top left, you will get that for discarding the card. You might get to draw a card, get a punk, send your Raider event out, injure an opponent's card, restore one of your own, damage something from junking a card. So you can do that. You can take your water silo. You put 1 water here in this location, and then take this event card right here. Well, it's not an event, actually. This card is your water silo. You'll put it in your hand, and then on a future turn, you can play it to add another water to your supply. So basically, you're banking a water that you either don't want to or can't use now for a later turn when you're more likely to need it. And then last thing is you can use an ability. Ability on a card also might have similar icons and has some sort of water cost on it, usually in order to trigger. So that's really it. You're using your water to activate cards. Eventually, on your next turn, you will take the water back, so those cards are now ready and can be used for their abilities. There are these special event cards too, and they are really cool. Both players start with this Raiders event card that has this special symbol here, symbols right here as well, that is triggered through some other cards. And so both players have that one available always, but then there are others in the deck that you can get that are different. The Raiders, you can see, start in location number 2. For the events here, they have a 3-2-1 system right here, where whichever slot they are placed in, that kind of means how many turns it will be until that event has slid into the number 1 spot on the previous turn and then will trigger. So an event that is really powerful might have to go in slot 3, and your opponent knows it has 3 turns before it's coming to kind of prepare a little bit for them. So events can go in any of those 3 slots. If the slot's already full, then you have to put it in the slot behind. And the events are a really cool part of this game to kind of throw a wrench into your opponent's plans, and you can combo some stuff together knowing that, hey, I have a raid that's going to activate next turn. At the same time, maybe I'll save these few cards in my hand to do this and this and this at the same time. So yeah, that's really the entire game. You're playing cards out. You might get some punks. You're damaging some cards. Punks are actually never damaged. They go back to the deck if they're ever hit. The other cards can take damage though, and your camps also can take damage. Eventually, one of them might be destroyed, and that camp can no longer use its special ability, which you can see some of them are really good. For 2 water, I can destroy this card and all people. So basically a board wipe there. There are some crazy camp cards. Last time I played, it was against my brother, and he had this Juggernaut card. And this card, for 1 water, you could move it 1 space forward. Usually camps are at the very back. It's kind of like a giant Juggernaut Mad Max looking device. And eventually it would get to the top. And if you ever get it to here and then move it again, it says return it to its starting position, then your opponent destroys one of their camps. So if you're able to pull that off and get it to move that many times, very cool camp card. These camps kind of are the variability in the game because there are 34 of them, I believe, in the base game here, and the mixture that you get and how their abilities work together. Yeah, it's just very different from game to game. And as far as expansions go, there's only one, should be out next month, I believe. That is the Cult of Chrome expansion, and it only adds new camp cards and a couple replacement cards for cards in the deck that are, I guess, not as perfectly balanced as they want. And I think that's cool, kind of to preserve the ratios and sanctity of the original deck and just add some new camps because they are very cool. So that is a kind of really quickly explained how you play the game of Radlands. So my favorite part, man, there's a lot. I think my favorite is probably the events, though. I think that it's the most unique thing here in Radlands. The camps add a lot of variety in how you play from game to game, but the timing of the events and how many turns they're going to take, it just adds a lot to what you're thinking about if you can time some things really well together that can really mess with your opponent. Okay, now that we've gone over gameplay, let's get into my review. Here on the channel, I use the David's framework here. So first up, we've got game duration. I am kind of curious, actually, to see what it says on the box. It says 20 to 40 minutes, and I do think that's about right. Your first game is definitely not going to be 20 minutes. I bet my first game was about an hour. But after that, you kind of get into a groove, and you can totally play this in 30 minutes. Sometimes you might really destroy your opponent or vice versa and get it down towards that 20-minute mark. But I would say you're going to average about at 30 minutes. And I think that's a good time frame for the game experience that you're having here. You're protecting your camps. You only need to do 6 points of damage to destroy your 3 opponents' camps. But you're going to have to destroy a lot of their cards in order to get there. Send your raiders out a bunch of times. They're cool because they get to damage one of your opponent's camps of their choice. And so that one can kind of again, it starts in event slot number 2 and takes a couple turns to actually happen, but you can damage their camps even past their defenses with the raiders and some other cool event cards. So I think the duration is about spot on. I don't know that the game should go any longer, but I think for what it is, it's really good at 30 minutes. For aesthetics, the artwork in this game is just stupendous. One of my favorite artists in board games, I believe, did the art for this game. I just want to double check here in the box. Let's see, art by Manny Tremblay. He also does the art, and I think did the game design for Dice Throne, which is one of my other favorite 2-player games. Got to also give a shout out to Damian Mamolidi and Mr. Cuddington, who are also mentioned here on the art, and Gavin Brown and Gui Landgraf for graphic design. Just an excellent job aesthetically. I think the entire system is very easy to grok or understand once you kind of just understand the symbols and you have this nice player aid card. So it's really actually very simple. The game makes sense basically all the way through. There's not a lot of edge cases that come up, and they're mostly covered in the rule book very well. So for aesthetics, I think it's excellent. I do think the playmats add to that experience. But again, not necessary. I played many times without it and still had a great, great time with Radlands. Okay, for variability, I already kind of mentioned where most of the variability comes from, and that is from the camp deck. There's also, of course, the randomness of the deck of cards, and the deck is not small. I'm not exactly sure, but that's probably 80 cards in the deck. I maybe should have counted, but there's a lot of cards in the decks too, so the order that those are going to come out in. And then since you get 6 of these camp cards at the beginning and you get to choose 3 of them, there's just a lot of variations, like I showed with the Juggernaut. That one you want to protect but move forward, and it just lets you automatically destroy one of your opponent's camps. I played with this Obelisk last game. This one says destroy this card before starting the game, but lets you start with 3 extra cards in your hand. So just quite a bit of variability here in these camps, which I think is the best part of the game as far as variability is concerned. This one's really cool. If your Raiders event did resolve this turn, then for 1 water, you can also restore or heal one of your cards. Yeah, just great stuff. In this one, for example, it doesn't cost any water to activate. Destroy one of your people, then draw a card. So you could just kind of have a strategy to burn through cards. There was one that, yeah, this one lets you flip over punks, which makes the back getting punks and hoping that the card on the other side is a good one, or like a really cool strategy as well. Lots of good stuff here in the camp deck. So variability, I think it does an excellent job with. As far as innovation, I don't think it does anything especially innovative. I think it just kind of took this lane battler genre and used a familiar framework with, okay, you're trying to protect the card at the base of your lane, but added just enough kind of simplicity and then some side stuff with these 2 extra cards that you can always kind of count on, and the event deck that, or event track here, excuse me, that will kind of shake up that flow and formula. That I think it functions really, really well. I don't think anything's especially new, but it uses action points in like a really great way. And yeah, I can't really knock it too much for taking a genre and kind of simplifying it to an excellent spot, but also not being like a boring beginner level game. It has quite a bit of depth in this package as well. For decision space, does the game play itself? I don't think so at all. You've got a lot of cards and lots of things to do with them. I really like multi-use cards. You can play cards for the ability of the card. It's going to cost you water to get them out. You can junk a card for the action listed there. There's sometimes cards that will let you get a punk, and then maybe a different card will let you take a punk into your hand or flip a punk. So there's quite a bit of comboing with the 6 cards and the 3 camp abilities, frankly, that you can have out here. So quite a bit to think about. I don't think this game plays itself at all. And for smoothness, I think it flows very, very well. Like I already mentioned earlier, I think basically every edge case I've run into was explained in the rulebook. Just I had missed a line of text here or there, and they really don't pop up very often anyways. It just makes sense. You've got your water here to visualize your action points, and you place them directly on things so you can remember what you did this turn. I do think the playmats help with a little bit, where you can like have a spot for extra water that you can sometimes earn. For discarding water, shows you how many water you need to spend in order to draw a new card from the deck or to get your water silo. So it really just flows really smoothly. If you've played any kind of head-to-head card game, I think you'd find this one is definitely in the top tier as far as smoothness goes. And last up here, I just want to give a shout out to the value, I think, of the game. Like I mentioned, I played most of my games just here with this base box, and this is not a collectible card game. There are no booster packs or anything that you can even get, and the expansion that comes out next month that just has some more camp cards is the only expansion that has been announced, and I think they have said it is the only one they plan on ever doing. And so this game I got for like $15, this base box, and I've played it dozens of times. Just an excellent value if you like 2-player card games. There's some players that, some people that don't like, high combat in-your-face games. I kind of get into that mood in a 2-player setting because it's just me versus you. So I don't mind like if you're being mean to me and destroying my cards, because I'm going to do it right back to you the next turn. But I do know that there are some people that don't enjoy that. So just something to think about. But lots and lots of value and variety in this base box. Again, I think the playmats that you have to get separately from the base game, and that box that kind of holds the playmats and this box is well spent if you like the game. But you can totally just check this out for 15, 20 bucks, whatever it's going for at this point, and you'll probably have a great experience and decide if it's something you would then want to invest sleeves and playmats in a bigger box for. So anyways, just wanted to give that shout out here at the end. So that is all the steps of my review. So let's go back up top for my final verdict. Okay, if you can't tell, Radlands is one of my very favorite two-player card games. I think it just does an excellent, excellent job for the size of box. There's a lot of game in here, and it flows really, really smooth. I really don't have any negatives to give it. I think teaching it flows really smooth. The gameplay is smooth. I like the variety of the camp cards, and it doesn't overstay its welcome either at just about 20 to 40 minutes, like the box says. I think this is, again, if you like lane battlers and doing damage to your opponent's cards, this is about as good as it gets, unless you're wanting something uber deep, like, you know, an Arkham Horror or Lord of the Rings living card game or something like that. But if you want something you can get for $15 and have a lot of plays before it starts to feel stale, then this game is just excellent. I'm going to be giving it a 9.5 out of 10. This is one of my very favorite games, and here at Gaming Top Down, that is a platinum trophy, my highest award. Thanks so much for watching this review. Make sure to check out the rest of the content I have on the channel, and I will see you on the next one. Till then, bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching this video. As most of you know, Gaming Top Down is an independent endeavor. I don't accept money from publishers for previews or opinion-related content, but there are a few ways that you can support the channel and help me keep the lights on. Liking this video and subscribing to the channel helps me to grow. If you're thinking of getting a game that I covered in this video, please click the affiliate link in the description of this video. It helps to support me and doesn't add any cost to your purchase. I also do a weekly gaming podcast where I talk about the board games that I'm playing along with my brother. You can check that out on Apple's podcasts and on Spotify. And you can also get that podcast 3 days early over on our Patreon. You can follow the Patreon at patreon.com/supergamebrothers completely for free. But if you do support us over there, you get some extra perks, like being able to write into the show, getting early access to the show, voting on the games that I'm going to cover and review, and lots of other fun stuff. Thanks so much for your support, for liking and commenting on my videos. You really are what helped keep the lights on for me. Thank you.